Chinook Nation? Welcome to our first episode of One on One right here on the Chinook Social Network. I'm Eric Snodgrass, joined by the voice of the Chinooks, Matt Menzel. Very special guest today joining us. He is a member of the 2014 Lakeshore Chinooks Championship team, and more importantly, a member of the San Francisco Giants, Mr. Shaun Anderson. Shaun, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Eric. It's good to be on.
So let's just kind of jump into it. We're kind of going through unique times, obviously, right now with the COVID-19 outbreak. Where were you when the MLB season was officially postponed, and where you been holding up ever since?
So I was in Arizona when I heard the news, and they suggested all of us to go home. And at first, I was like, no. I mean, this has been going on for months, and there hasn't really been any moves for it. But apparently, it got really serious. So when I heard that the complex was going to get shut down, I didn't want to be locked up in Arizona. So I came home to South Florida because I knew I had the resources down here to continue to throw and work out.
And kind of talking about continuing to work out, you guys are right in the middle of spring training, getting into playing shape and the groove of everything. How you been keeping playing in shape and training while you guys wait to return to baseball?
I kind of just picked up where I left off. I kind of ramped up in the off season and was ready as soon as spring training started. And we got a couple games under our belt. And when we heard that this was going to probably be a long time, I just picked up and continued to stay on my workout regimen. And I got with the pitching coach and kind of asked him what he wanted me to go through during this time. And he created a schedule for all of us. And so I've been following that. And I have a kind of like an in-home gym in my house that I've been working out at.
So you've been throwing in everything at home, or are you going somewhere in South Florida to do that?
No, I live in South Florida, so I've just been throwing with my brother, and there's a catcher down the street that I live near that we've been playing catch as well. So continue to be able to throw the bullpens and long tossing and stuff.
So when you're not training, how are you passing the time and staying busy right now?
I feel like I don't really have a lot of downtime. I mean, I wake up and I eat, I work out. Come back, eat, throw, come back, eat. I feel like eating is pretty much like a hobby because it takes a long time to cook and then eating. So I guess cooking, I like to cook. So I'm pretty much cooking all day and planning my schedule for tomorrow. So that's pretty much it. And then the golf courses have been closed. So I've kind of just been sneaking on and walking 9 by myself or with my brother. So.
There you go. You got to keep the golf in the schedule. So what did you take away from your summer and your experience with the Lakeshore Chinooks?
Man, I still look back at that summer. I still keep in touch with the host family that I have, but my freshman year of college, I was put in the bullpen and I started my whole life. So, but the Chinooks wanted me to be a starter while I was there. So I continued to start and had a lot of fun with it. So when I came back to college, I told them I wanted to start, but I was still in the bullpen. But I guess that summer at Lakeshore, I really continued to just have that drive as a starter and kind of going 7-8 innings there at Lakeshore was a lot of fun, and we ended up winning the championship. So I think being on a starter on a championship caliber team that we had, that's the most fun there is,
What outside of baseball in Wisconsin, what did you enjoy doing that summer as far as hobbies and activities in the state?
So I've never been to Wisconsin, and they have that mist that rolls in. So that was the first time I ever saw that. I've never seen a game get delayed because of mist. It rolls right off that lake that's right there. But I went shooting with my host dad, Eric Lorenz, and that was the first time I ever shot a shotgun. So we had those off days, so I kind of took advantage of those and hung out with the host family that I had.
Now, Shaun, when you go back to that 2014 championship summer, in your opinion, testing your memory a little bit, what made that team so dominant?
Everyone was having fun. I feel like, I don't know, I guess Hacksaw came to the field one time and they gave us like this 2x4 hit on the fences, and we were just getting all up in the other team's head when we came through. And I don't know, we were just all screaming for each other and being loud and having fun. And I think we were just all on the same page and we all just enjoyed each other that summer. So I think having that chemistry with each other, that was the most fun. And that ultimately resulted in a championship.
Now, you end up making 6 appearances during your time with the Chinooks at Capco Park, including Game 2 of the South Divisional Championship Series that year against the Wisconsin Woodchucks. You went even the 9th inning against Wisconsin. Eventually, the Chinooks won that game in extra innings. But, Capco Park traditionally is known as a pitcher defensive-friendly ballpark. How about for you? What do you make of your experiences pitching at Capco Park?
I loved the turf infield that they had. There weren't ever any bad hops, and I feel like the defense behind me always played really good. We had a great defense, and I think what helped me that summer was being able to trust my defense. And I think Capco Park was always kept in great shape. The mound was in great shape, and there really much wasn't to do for the turf, but I don't know. I liked the breeze that came off the lake and the fans that we had there. It seemed like they were always not selling out, but every seat was pretty much full when we went. I don't know if it was because we were winning or you guys got loyal fans, but I don't know. Capco is definitely my favorite park to pitch in out of all the Woodlands stadiums.
Northwoods League is known as kind of an internship
Northwoods, yeah.
to the minors, and obviously you eventually go on and pitch in the minor leagues. How did maybe that experience in the Northwoods League prepare you for what was to come as you went across the minor leagues for 3 years?
Man, the travel was so long in the Northwoods League, but there was like 6 hours, 10 hours, 4 hours, but that is what the minor leagues is, driving throughout the night with a packed bus and all restaurants closed throughout the night when you're traveling. So when I kind of got to the minors, I was like, oh, this is something I've definitely seen before. But I think the travel was the biggest thing. The travel, and then the different ballparks. Some were really good, some weren't as good, and I think that's what the minor leagues is, and playing every single day. We played almost every day, and that gets you ready for a long season.
You were drafted eventually by the Red Sox in 2016, and as mentioned, we're in the minors from 2016 through part of 2019. In that time, you were traded to the Giants. I guess, first of all, that's part of the business in sports. That's a possibility. How do you handle, the reality of, hey, all of a sudden I'm going from Boston to now being part of the Giants organization?
At first, I didn't think it was real. I got a call at midnight, and they told me I had been traded, and there wasn't really much information. I was like, what? This is like my first year. I didn't know they could do that your first year, And when someone called me and introduced me to the Giants and congratulated me, they wanted me there as soon as possible. So within a day, I had to pack up my whole apartment and my car and kind of ship it out and go across the country. I went from Virginia to California. That's a big change, but honestly, I've never been to California, and I was looking forward to it. And I knew the Giants had a really good system, and the franchise that they have. I had a great time with the Red Sox, but I was kind of pumped and on board with going to the Giants. And I told a lot of my family because they asked me like what it's like, and it's kind of like joining a summer ball team like Lakeshore, whatever. You go there, you don't know anyone, but you guys all have the same goal, which is to get to the big leagues and win each game. So I don't know. I kind of looked at it in open mind and just try to win games and make some friends.
Fast forward to 2018, you got the opportunity to pitch in the Futures game, part of the Major League Baseball All-Star festivities that year in Washington, D.C. What did that honor mean to you?
You're playing in a big league stadium, and the stadium was sold out. So I think that gave you the taste of what the big league stadium looks like, and you're playing with the top talent across the country. And I think being able to represent the Giants in that game, that was awesome, and they definitely treated you like a big leaguer as soon as you got there. So kind of playing in that game, it gave you a taste of what it'd be like, and made you want it even more,
So at that point, did it start to kick in that you were that close to, realizing that big league dream, or did you maybe have that little, reality kick earlier?
So I was in Double-A when I got that invite, but the day before I headed up to the Futures game, my manager, Willie Harris, said that I was going to go to Triple-A as soon as the Futures game was over. And I was like, okay, like I'm going to Triple-A, that's the next step up. But it didn't actually hit me until like 2 months later. I got a call that I was going to to pitch in New York, and then I was getting called up. So I flew over to New York, and then on that flight, I was like, is this real? Like, this is crazy. And still didn't set in though. And then when I got there, they actually said that they didn't need me, and they sent me back to California. So I kind of had that taste, but I didn't really get my hopes up too much. I was kind of just looking at it as I still need to continue to pitch well. And then the next spring training, I got invited to big league camp, and just being around all those guys, that was kind of the taste of like, this could be surreal, and this is something that could happen, you know?
Well, and that call, the real call finally came in 2019, as you mentioned, by the Giants. How did you find out? How did you react?
So there were some rumors that were going around, but again, like the previous year, I got called up and never actually debuted. So I was like, you know what, I'm not looking too much into it. I'm just going to wait till I'm actually pitching. So I just kind of kept my head down and continued to work. And then my manager, Dave Brundage, called me in the office after one of the games and told me that I wasn't getting the off day the next day, and that I was driving to San Francisco, and that I was going to pitch against the Blue Jays. And I mean, he said he couldn't have been more happy for me, and I was excited to kind of represent the farm systems that I came from, and I thanked him for everything that he's put me through. And honestly, I was just more thankful for all the coaches that kind of helped me get there, you know. And even when I got to the big league stadium, it wasn't surreal until like halfway through the season that I really realized what was going on, you know. So it never really kicks in because I don't know. I continue to keep my head down and work, because if I got up there and kind of got shelled, I might have came right back, you know. So I didn't really look too much into it. I enjoyed it, but I felt like there was still so much work that needed to be done to stay there, you know.
Yeah, take us through May 15th of 2019, your debut against the Toronto Blue Jays. What do you remember about that day? Just take us through the emotional roller coaster that was that Major League Baseball debut.
So the Giants did a great job. They flew my family first class to San Francisco so they could be there. And I pride them so much on that, because my parents and my sister and brother enjoyed that so much, being able to fly over, and the Giants taking care of everything, you know, the rental car, the hotels, and just really hooking it up for my family. I mean, that was awesome. And that was just the beginning of it, you know, and not having to worry about flying them out there and taking care of them. Like, the Giants were like, hey, I got it. We got it. You just focus on your game. So the day before, I sat in the locker room and kind of watched the game. And then I headed back to the hotel and got some sleep. And then the next day, I think it was a day game or a night game. I think it was a day game, and it was raining. And I was like, oh no, it's getting pushed back again. And they're like, yeah, we're going to be on delay for like 30 minutes to an hour. And they told me that like maybe 30 minutes before game time. And so I had all this kind of hype up. I was ready, and I was ready to go out there and start throwing. And then they delayed it. And then I was like, come on, just let me debut already, you know? And then they finally said, all right, go out and start throwing. And it was still drizzling. And I was like, oh God, it's going to get rained out, you know, but whatever, I got to get ready regardless. So ended up playing catch. And then as soon as I started throwing the ball, it stopped raining. So I was like, all right, there's a window. We're going to do this, you know? And I got to play catch with Aramis Garcia, who was when I got traded, he was in Richmond and San Jose. So I kind of played with him throughout the whole system when I came up with the Giants. So that kind of really made it comfortable throwing to him, because I've done it a million times, you know. So it wasn't like anything different, but I just kind of continue with my routine. And I think the routine is what made me not really think too much of the game or what was really about to happen. I just stuck to my routine. I followed the steps that I followed every start that I had. And then finally getting the start. I mean, I still kind of watch the debut and kind of look back, because at the time I wasn't really enjoying, like, I'm in the big leagues, you know. I was like, all right, I got to get this guy out. Like, I didn't really enjoy it, you know. Because you can't let down on the brakes, because then the floodgates open, you know. But when I look back at it, I'm like, wow, that was such a cool experience, you know. They interviewed my parents, and I don't know, just playing with all those guys, it was a lot of fun, and made you continue to want to stay there and be there. So and then I got 2 hits, which was the coolest part about it.
So you actually got to start in a game here in Milwaukee in July of last year. Did Eric and Lori, your host family, get to come down and watch you that day?
They did, yeah. So they contacted me and said that they were gonna come watch and when we played the Brewers, and I mean that was cool because I haven't seen them in a really long time since I went to Lakeshore. So we actually went to breakfast in the morning, and then they got to come and watch a game, and then we hung out after and got to take a picture. So that was really nice, just kind of rekindling with them and seeing what they've been up to. And I mean, they were such a great family and such a great host family that I had that, I mean, I'm going to be friends with forever.
Just a few quick questions from some of our fans on social media. Aiden wanted to know, what do you like best about San Francisco?
What do I like best about San Francisco? I would say I feel like there's so much to do. I mean, there's so much scenery, you know, and it's not like Florida where I live. You know, you can go, you know, see the piers. There's a bunch of piers right down the street, and I feel like there's a lot of cool restaurants that are really kind of family owned and kind of small restaurants that you can go to. I love to eat, so I like trying new places, and I feel like there's a ton of new restaurants, like hole in the wall restaurants that you can go to. And then, of course, Oracle Park is probably the best thing about San Francisco. But aside from that, I would say all the little restaurants and local places that you can go see.
And finally, Sam wants to know, what advice would you give the guys in the Northwoods League looking to break into the minors and pros?
I would say just trust the process. I mean, there was definitely some ups and downs that I went through during college and during the Northwoods League. I mean, there were some times when I didn't throw very well and I didn't really know what was next, you know, but everyone kind of looks forward to like the Cape being the best summer league you can go to. But honestly, I got so much development in the Northwoods because, I mean, there was great competition and there was a ton of fans. So I remember the Cape, I'm not talking bad about the Cape, but there weren't many fans, you know, it's a lot of scouts, but the Northwoods League it's a lot of fun, man. I would say if you're going to play in the Northwoods League, have fun, you know, get to know the teammates around you and learn from them. Because I learned so much from the teammates that I threw to, like catching wise and the other pitchers that were there. I mean, everyone's got a story and everyone comes from something different. So I would say really pick the brains of some of the other players that are there and enjoy the time with them.
And I'm glad you brought up Hacksaw Jim Duggan. We actually tried to bring him in for the playoffs as a good luck charm, but he was booked at appearances. So it's funny that you bring him on.
Well, hopefully he got a ring because he was the reason why we won that year.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. We had a pleasure watching you. Matt mentioned that Game 2 of the South Division Championship where you went 8 innings, just dominated. You know, you were great to have. You're a great role model for the other players and future players, and we wish you the best of luck with the Giants this season and the future years as well.
I appreciate that. And Matt and Eric, thanks for having me, and I appreciate everything you guys are doing there with Lakeshore.
And you will get a bobblehead at some point. We do bobbleheads of all of our alumni one a year, so you will be in a Chinooks bobblehead one day in the future years.
It's going to be like a throwback bobblehead because I had like short hair and kind of like a goatee back then, or is it going to be like now a bobblehead with the hair?
I think it has to be authentic, so you got to go with the short hair for that one.
Oh, okay.
Unless you want the long hair. We can put the long hair on it if you want.
It depends what they look like.
All right, well, he's Shaun Anderson. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Snyder. He's Matt Menzel, and we'll see you right next time on the next episode of One on One.